Hi guys, welcome back to Boy Things podcast. We're here with another episode. I think this is episode 8. So we're almost at the season finale. I cannot believe that season 4 is coming to an end. The last episode with Miss Joan Stevens, I must say thank you to her. I've seen a lot of messages from a lot of HIV positive people who are just outpouring their appreciation of that episode, and we're just asking me advices and stuff like that. So hopefully we can kind of get into it within this episode, hopefully, right? But before we get there, you know where I'm at Cattleya Perfect 10 Mitzvah, located at shop number 19 inside the Ligani Post Mall, that is right across from Sovereign. And without further ado, well, today is Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all fathers. I know that we highlight a lot of mothers. You know, mothers are exceptional, yeah, but we do have some great fathers out there, and I just want to say that, you know, we appreciate you if you're a good father. If you're not a good father, you want a company back. You understand me? Take care of your kids. But you know, Cattleya Perfect 10, there's Summer Body promotion going on. I've been mentioning this. So they have the non-surgical treatments, which is 20% off all non-surgical treatments, right? For the whole summer. So look at things them and I want to belly fat and the back fat and all of them things there. Yeah, so 20% off. Those procedures were $9,000. It is now $7,000 per procedure. So you understand? And also they have Bogo Wednesdays, which you purchase any treatment and you get 50% off the other one. Right, which there's no deal like this in Jamaica, by the way. And you know, the raffle is going on, their summer raffle. I've been telling you guys about this to ensure that you enter. Everybody wants a little relaxation, a little vacation. Right now, I wish I could enter. So once you come into Cattleya Perfect 10, remember that they offer free consultation on any given treatment or procedure ever, right? So you come inside, the purchase of one service gives you 1 entry, and the purchase of a package gives you 5 entries, and you can enter as many times as you wish, right? So good luck, and it's a weekend for 2 at a 5-star resort in Ocho Rios, yes? And remember, Epic Weekend in Miami, Florida. This is July 2nd to July 5th. Remember, Dream Weekend, Sans Mandem, you understand what I'm saying? And it is 4 days, 8 parties, 1 band. It's sort of like Dream Weekend in Jamaica with additional events like Suns, Overso, the Estate. So yes, so if you're in Florida or if you live in a big foreign, as I say, that is it. Or if you're in Jamaica and you just want to like a getaway, yes, right? So Epic Weekend, July 2nd to 5th. And remember, drive unique cars. So I've spoken about this on the radio show, Martin, where I said, just out of joke, I was saying to you guys, if you use my name, then you can get discounts, right? To rent a car. So now it's official. If you use Boy Things as a reference, you can get 10% off any rental. And remember, they have a website, which is driveuniquecars.com. You can see all the vehicles, all the prices, and the available dates, and then a little double rental company. You understand what I say? It's official. So once again, you use Boy Things, get 10% discount. All right, I think that's supposed to be it for the, yes, sponsors. Yes, love that for us. All right, so in my season 1, when I just started this podcast, you know, anybody who knows my platform, or if you're not familiar with it and you're just watching this, I do welcome you. So I speak about taboo topics within our culture. And it is funny how mental health is so taboo now, and I don't understand why. But so I've spoken about that from my first season, and you know, that was well received. But I think that now that the show is more established and more people will maybe come and watch, I want you guys to, you know, feel comfortable. It's a safe place. But you know, mental health is very important to me. I've been open about my stint with depression. I've been open about my anxieties. I've been open about it all, and I've always, you know, been an advocate in any way that I can about mental health. Yes. So I have here Dr. Jarrett. Right here beside me. Thank you so much for coming. I love your yellow ensemble, and I excited. Yeah. So I brought you here to just kind of let us try to normalize mental health as much as possible. Our culture, I don't know why we were so afraid or ashamed to say that we're not okay mentally. So, you know, hopefully this conversation will, you know, reach to where it's supposed to. Yeah. So thank you for coming. I do appreciate you once again. Just let us know, you're a clinical psychologist.
Clinical psychologist.
What is that?
Okay, so clinical psychologist is there are different branches in psychology, different specialties. So in clinical psychology, our training is to diagnose, assess, and treat severe mental illness.
Okay. So severe means what exactly?
So when you think of long-term mental illness, so clinical depression, psychosis, which are like schizophrenia. So, persons who have delusions, hallucinations, etc. So just simply put, so we're trained to do counseling and therapy across the spectrum, but in terms of the assessment and the treatment, that's, we're clinical psychologists specialized. And there's counseling psychology, which also does therapy and support and are able to provide much of the same services as well.
I love that. Okay, so I've known you for a while and I want to go down into the history, right? So I'm going to get, very comfortable in the discussion. So, man, feel as comfortable as you wish. I don't want it to be, stiff-necked and all that, but I just want to... Why is it that our culture, especially here in Jamaica, I don't know why is it not okay to say, I am not okay? Yeah. Why is it that you're ridiculed or people are ridiculed so much here, wanting to get mental help or therapy? Why do you think?
Yeah. So it's not just Jamaica. So that's, it's important to think about that. So sometimes when you think it's just you or us, it kind of makes it feel worse than it is. So it's not just Jamaica, it's every culture, mental health carries a stigma. Right? And it's the idea that people don't really understand it well. And then we have lots of stories or myths. So like in our culture, we have the whole obvious thing. Right? Exactly.
So funny you said that because I had an episode about that.
Yeah, so
I have an episode about that on my podcast.
So, so why that happened, or on some level, people think people with mental illness just snap over it, snap out of it, get over it. You can manage it, you can control it. So it's some kind of weakness in there as well. But the stigma, so even though I'm saying it's every culture, I know when you say in Jamaica, it's pretty bad. And one of the reasons I went into psychology was growing up and being really aware of the stigma around mental illness. So in my family, I grew up with people who were mentally ill.
Right.
And, I remember a second cousin specifically, and she wasn't shunned or anything. Grew up in a country and you never see her on the street. She was well cared for by her family. But I grew up aware of mental illness and really aware that in Jamaica, there wasn't a lot of care for it. There weren't therapies, there weren't psychologists. So when I was growing up, really, not about psychologists. So there just seemed to be nowhere for people to get help and support. So the stigma, and that's part of what the stigma does. We don't understand it. We shun the people who have it. We leave them on the road. We stone them.
Yes.
Right? We treat them really bad. And so when so as a person, you might start to not feel well, you're imagining that's what's going to happen to you. Right?
All right. So I don't know your socioeconomic background growing up, right? So let me just be very frank. Now you have the uptown, you have middle class, lower class, all of that. I think that particularly, especially in the middle to lower class, we don't have conversations about mental health. We hardly do. I think that mental health also should be taught in school, just like physical education, just like religious education. You're supposed to have even half an hour per week. We talk about mental health, all that. But back to the point though, I think that just based on how you grew up, if you're saying as a teenager to a young adult to your parents, I'm depressed, them cuss you, where you been depressed? Where you depressed from? You're paying a bill? That is the thing. So then you suppress all of that growing up, and now in a big age now like me, it's so hard to control because it's like it's already too bad now. So do you think that the background or the way how we grew up that plays a part in the reason it's so stigmatized?
And that's what I'm saying. So all of that, it's like a vicious cycle, right? So you grow up and you see how people get treated who have it. So the fear and not understanding it, you don't want to even own it in yourself. And you go to a parent and say you're feeling certain way, they don't want to deal with that. And I think part of the culture, part of our culture too is like, you know, you push through anything, you deal with it. You know, like, and that's that weakness.
But you can't just deal with it just so. Can you?
What you have to say you're depressed about, I had it worse than you, which is a thing with parents, right?
Oh my God. Don't even
so
get me
that
started.
kind of silence, and so you grow up and you learn to, you're not happy, you're not content, you're worried, but you just feel like you should be able to deal with it.
Yes.
You remember how the response you got when you tried to get help for it. And so you kind of, it becomes normal for you to just feel off and feel unsettled and feel unhappy, and you think this is it for me.
So, question.
Yeah.
Me now, right, 17, 16, growing up, and I might have said, oh, I am depressed. And you know, your parents know, as you just said, and I love that you brought that point, way depressed about. Me used to walk barefoot, go to school for miles and I'm okay. Yeah, so then you suppress it, right? What would have been or should have been the reaction? Because I know that persons who are watching this have children and stuff like that. So what should be the initial reaction? If your child comes to you now at a young age, says, boy, I'm so depressed, or you kind of realize, like, you know, behavioral patterns and they're always angry or them isolate themselves, what should be the initial reaction now to your child?
Yeah, so a few things. One is appreciate that the child came to you, actually open up and said, you know, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling depressed. And ask them, tell me how you're feeling. You know, what do you mean? Tell me about it. Tell me how you're feeling. What are you feeling? You want to talk about it? You want to tell me more about it? Is it all right?
Dr. Jarrett,
it sounds like foreign to
Jamaican parents that have that in them, you know. Dr. Jarrett, me I tell you the truth. It's a few, like our households here in Jamaica. It's so toxic. It's like your parents just, I don't know if it's because, you know, they really don't recognize also that they have an issue from generations, right? So they really just lash out on you, right? So you can't really go to your parents and say them something you're just so, like, it is so hard.
It is hard, and that's why we're saying, so for someone who's listening now who want to know what to say, we're giving them a script.
That should please.
So your child say, I'm sorry you're feeling like that. Thanks for telling me. All right, come talk to me. Tell me.
And I think what we don't understand, right, as parents, and I have a 18-year-old sister who's about to be 19. And what parents don't understand is not because children don't pay bills or have responsibilities that means they can't depressed. Remember, so them have friends. Them friends maybe bully them. They might feel insecure about them physical appearance. They might feel insecure about their financial situations. So there are a lot of different factors that can really let you as a child really feel depressed or just out of it. But the initial thing your parents are going to tell you is there's nothing to be depressed about, especially if it's a boy child now.
You know what though? And everything you're saying is true, you know, but I'm just trying to think through how to get someone to do differently. One of the things parents have to practice to do, especially as kids are going through all these things, to just remember your time as a 13, 14, 15, 16, 18. We all went through it, like what teenagers going through now, and the emotions and the sadness. The parents would have been through that. So even if they had, you know, so it's sort of like it's not so foreign for them to imagine that you feel depressed because they felt it at some point. But hurt people. And it's so funny though. Just passing on.
Right, because I can understand. You grew up, you know, and you can relate to when I'm telling you no, but I'm not feeling well. But then you remember exactly in that moment what you were going through and how your parents dealt with it. And you come and you pass it on now.
So instead of giving you what they would have wanted, they just give you what they got back from their parents.
So you're saying now approach is also important from your parents, and just be more understanding and say, hey, what is it? Okay, so that's number one. All right. Do you think that social media aids to our depression?
So, you know, the studies are out there showing that it actually makes it worse.
Definitely, I know that for a fact. A lot of comparisons, everybody are comparing things and successes, and them feel like, why Dr. Jarrett, I drive Beamer and Benz and all these things, and I'm taking the bus, and a lot of comparisons. So I know that for a fact. So you think that social media breaks are important? Yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, and you have to, there's a whole thing around even social media addiction where as you wake up,
the first thing
in your hand, and you post all day and you spend the whole day just go through.
I remember.
And you can't sleep at night because you're on the social media too late.
Can't sleep at night. So, well, I remember our conversation though. When I just started to speak to you about what I was going through. I think that was one of the first things that you. All right, 1 second. Can I just pause, Martin? Yeah. All right, so we had to just take a quick break, but then we were on the point of social media. And you were saying that, social media breaks are important, and you're saying the first thing we do sometimes is pick up the phone. And I'm gonna just share a little experience. So when I contacted you about my depression and we were just having conversations, you did ask me what my morning routine is like. And I did not, at that time, really was taking, into account like what I was doing. And after you said that, and you were like, start your day with, positivity, like a music, meditation, stuff like that. And that really helped me. And I've been saying it to people all the time, like if you start your day, for me personally, I start my day, play some gospel song, read a little scripture, then look at something there, and then we go up on social media. That really works, because if it is that the first thing you do, take up your phone, somebody else buy one car, and then a bad man, But then in your mind is like, oh my God, Jesus, like I feel like I'm just not accomplishing anything. So that is a very, very important part. Write that down. Yeah. So what else can we do as it relates to social media? Because it's a very toxic place.
It can be. It can be. And part of it too is curating.
I was about to say that. Be careful what you're engaging in.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have people, and these are things I do for myself too, right?
Yes.
So, especially if you just join a platform, you might just follow all sorts of
bunch of people, right?
But sometimes if I see certain things coming, the best part is when you rediscover people from primary school, high school, years later. Like follow them, but over time, if whenever a person's time feed comes across your timeline, it triggers something in you, you have to unfollow them. Because it's like, why?
Anybody knows me that is following me or is following my platform, only knows that me love black people, right? And the reason for that is I don't like negativity within my space any at all, because I think that also brings out the anger side out of me that I'm really just trying not to evoke any at all, right? So if it is that I see your content and I don't have anything against you any at all, but I don't want to see where you post. I don't read mix-up sites. I don't follow none of them pages. Like I actually block all of those because I don't want no negativity any at all to kind of sleep in on myself. And that also adds on to all of what you're going through, like depression and anxiety and all of that. So that's also another note to make.
Yeah, man. And I think you can. So the same way you select out the negative, or there are people who all their posts they're like dashboard.
Oh Jesus! Don't.
And if you're someone who's already anxious or depressed, I've definitely had people come who they have anxiety or they're depressed and they swear that this person, the posts are directed to them. There's no way to know. And so for your own good, you have to really get that out. And on the other side, you can also choose to bring in positive. So you can follow the uplifting pages and pages that post affirmations or post tips about well-being, or if there's a career area you're interested in, you can follow those things, because then you're really enriching your life.
Love that.
So you can make that choice.
Social media or homes. Oftentimes too, I think that our friends triggers a lot of our anxiety and a lot of our depressions and all that. And I was talking to somebody yesterday, right? And just correct me if I'm wrong, because I never got school for this, right? So my thing is, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I'm saying there are a lot of people that every time you talk to them, they're just unloading all of their issues and problems each and every time. No, you want to be a good friend, and you're going to want to listen, and you're going to want to give advices or whatever. But every time that you and this person speak, it's just negativity or it's so heavy, right? And it's nothing positive, it's nothing uplifting. And I think that also triggers a lot of anxiety and depression, because here it is, you might be going through something, and me I call you, it's not like a one time or 2 times, you know, every day me I call you, and me I tell you about all of my issues, and you're just here like, I'm going through so much things too, and I'm taking in all of your energy on myself. So that also is an issue.
Of course,
yes,
you're not wrong. See, how you mean?
Yeah, man, yeah, look at me for psychology.
The school of life.
Yeah.
No, but it's a real thing, right? This kind of unbalanced friendship or unbalanced relationships where, because part of what makes a good relationship is a feeling of balance and reciprocity, right? You give and you take.
Yes.
There's a benefit that you bring to it and there's benefits you get from it. And so in terms of, when you think about protecting your mental health or things to do to feel better, you know, a good thing to know how to do is to say no or to set boundaries, right? Not taking on more than you can manage. And even before you get to what you say to the person or you do with the person, is just realizing, coming to the mindset that you can be a good friend, but you can't be a therapist to your friends, right?
Okay.
So you can be a good friend and you can provide that listening ear, but don't take on the pressure to feel like they have to do this for them.
We have some friends who just feel like if you're not there all the time, then you're not a good friend. You know?
I know, and that's but you have to sort of get around to really realize this is not my role. This is not, especially when it's starting to harm you, because you're in a friendship and you feel lonely, you feel honored. You're going to get resentful, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to get bitter about it.
Right.
And then in friendship, really, you'll start, you know. So, I mean, with that person, sometimes you might have to choose when to not answer the phone. You might have to
Dr. Jarrett, you have to tell me that, because I know that for a fact.
And I think but you have to choose to not answer the phone and not be killing yourself with guilt and feel bad, because that's the same.
I don't feel no way.
So you don't feel no way.
But then I know a lot of people might feel right. And the reason I asked you though is, you know, it's just because there are a lot of your friends who just require so much
care
from you. And it's like, me, I don't mind being a listening ear. I don't mind, can come to me and I'll vent to me for hours at a time. I really don't mind. But if it's an everyday thing, or I'm here, you know, trying to deal with my thing, and then I have to drop whatever I'm doing to constantly attend to your need, it gets so heavy on you.
And that's the thing, like, you can be that good friend, and it's not what's happening, you know, but how is it affecting you? Because if you're quite happy doing that, and you know you have your other friend who you can go to and talk to afterwards,
then fine.
Then it's so, you know, it's balanced, because you understand in this relationship, because, you know, the role you play for that person is really important. And maybe they really just don't have anyone else that they can. Or maybe some people just selfish. But you can.
Some people demand too much of you.
But they might not realize, because you might be the only person who'd ever been willing to listen to them.
Okay, point taken.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's really, you're doing something really invaluable for them. And so, you know, as much as you can, you do that. But the part that you can control is when you see that it's affecting you negatively. That's when you have to figure out how to set boundaries. How sometimes maybe if they start venting, you might be able to say, you know, so-and-so doing, I can't, you know, right now I can't. I'm horrible, right?
Boy, do it. Yeah, get a beat, my friend.
I'm doing. Right now I can't
handle that.
I can't handle that right now. Can we talk about it at this time? Are you going to be okay? Or Dwayne, you know, we talked about this the last time. You probably tell Dwayne same thing when you do over and over, and if you don't listen to you, like, Dwayne, you do what I said the last time? I must say no. All right. So you need to do that, because you realize you keep coming to me the same
about the same things. Okay.
So you have to figure out how to set your boundary in a way that you're comfortable with. And in a way that they can hear. As well.
Makes sense.
For doing.
So we've spoken about the homes, we've spoken about social media and friendships. Can we just kind of touch on coping mechanisms just a little bit? There can be pros and cons to it. Because my coping mechanism can just be for me to isolate myself just a little bit and just, to recoup and all of that and re-energize myself. But then some people might turn to drugs and alcohol and all of that. Can you just explain to us, as quickly as you can, is it important to have coping mechanisms? Is it?
So you're thinking coping mechanism as things you do when you're feeling stressed out or when you're facing some kind of some situation that
or you just feel low.
You to do something more. Yeah, it's important to have a few things you can do to lift your mood, to bring happiness into your space. It's interesting you say yours is to isolate, because really, especially in this, what do you call it, the panorama?
Panini. Yeah.
Panini, we're already isolated, which is a problem for most people. The introverts, they're quite fine. Right. Neither here nor there, because I'm like, they by themselves anyway. But the human connection, being around people in supportive relationships is really, really, really important. And that's really an important, I'd say, when anyone is going through high stress and, some kind of trauma or some kind of stressful situation, is to connect to people. Don't use that as a time to pull away. Use it as a time. No, I mean, it's really varies for everyone. So if it works for you, it's working. But
because I know a lot of people does that,
Do that, yeah.
Like a lot of people I've seen on social media, even just right before I came here, where they were just saying that they just would ghost the world and everything. But what I've noticed is, I think I've said this to you before as well, that once you're in that space, right? Because it can just be a relapse of whatever. I've kind of realized that when you isolate and you're just in this dull, dark place, you go further and further than the person to do. Believe me, like you isolate yourself and it's like your mind is telling you so many different things and it's like you're thinking yourself into more depression, not even knowing it. So once you've done that isolation, you come off of social media, you're not talking to anybody, you lock up yourself in your room for weeks and weeks and weeks. The reason it can't come out is because that should not maybe be that mechanism for you. I've noticed that for myself. So it all depends, as they say. It really varies. Okay. What about people now that takes to drugs and alcohol?
So why do they take the drugs and alcohol?
To suppress.
Right? Yeah. So you're not really dealing with the issue.
But some people just prefer it just to be gone for right now.
So it's an escape, right? So you feel stress and you start the drinking. You have a drink to relax, to unwind. You don't want to think about it. But it doesn't deal with the actual issue. So in addition to whatever harm it's causing you, not really deal with whatever the problem is. So it's an escape and it's harmful, right? And so those are things you do that get you to right now, but in terms of long term, it's not a strategy, right? And it's a sign that you actually need some help.
What would you recommend?
So some of the things to do when you have this problem. So we started out with the social piece, right? So if you do have someone, and it's like, do you have a good friend, a trusted friend, someone in your family that you can actually reach out to and just, even if it's to go and talk to them, even if you can't directly talk about the issue, but
just to talk,
connect to someone and start a conversation and just, share something. So you don't feel so isolated and alone. The other thing, journaling. Like if you can't get the words out
told me that as well.
To someone,
write it down.
And it's not a one-off, like just a one-time thing. It's like,
every
it's
day?
a place. Yeah, you have to do it consistently for a while because you can use the journal to understand yourself a little more. So, how you feel today, what you do, what happened. So did something trigger you, something create whatever anxiety, exacerbate, increase your anxiety? Did something make you really get into a funk? Did you snap at somebody? And you sort of keep this journal going for a while. And when you write, you read it over and you try to analyze and start looking for patterns. To kind of say, whenever these things happen, that's when
makes sense.
This happened to me. And part of it is, by journaling it, you're also getting it out. You're getting off your chest, you're getting it out your head. You're starting to process your thoughts. And that's really helpful. You can also practice the type of journaling. So that's like documenting and processing. But even something where you're very targeted, where you do gratitude journal, like all the good things. And I always have clients say, oh, the things that, what did someone say? It's like the things that that work are, you don't really want them, they're boring. Or they just, but they work, but you just feel like it's so prescriptive.
Yeah.
And you're like, but it works.
But it works.
And you're doing a lot of other things that don't work. So give it a try. Exercise. It's some basic things that we do all the time,
You said exercising and meditation works a lot.
Every day,
But then you said something to me, to be present in the moment. And I've seen, clearly I'm not going to have great days every day. But I've seen where that helps me a lot, like to be present and to be appreciative of the now.
I'm going to interview you now. When you said,
be present,
I like when you said
for instance, one of my triggers or still is sometimes, I overthink a lot, right? And I'm thinking 10 days ahead. So right now, I'm here interviewing you, and I'm thinking about next week and the week after. Well, not now, but normally. That's how my brain works. You've always said, be present right now. Don't think about next week. Because when you think about next week, you say, boy, God have mercy. Say, I have that for go the next week and whatever. You then put pressure on yourself for right now. And then now till next week, depression, anxiety, all of that. So that also helped me. Being very present and gratitude, as they say. Think about the positives, think about what's happening good for you in this particular moment. Like, oh, hey, boy, I mean, I have X, but at least I have this, and I'm thankful for this. So that has also helped me, and I've also therapist of people. Therapizing people based on what you tell me. Okay, so
the thing with depression and anxiety, it literally changes how you see everything.
Right.
It changes how you view people.
Yeah.
Like we're saying, you might go on social media and see the post and I made them a talk. It really changes. And so when you practice something like the gratitude, is you're forcing yourself to focus on positive things, and you train your brain to focus on these things and to see the positive. And as I say, if you're not going to naturally see it, then you have to make a habit of doing it, right?
Love that.
Yeah.
And also therapy. Therapy in Jamaica is kind of expensive,
It's kind of costly.
It is very, and 3/4 we don't have it, me not have it.
Yeah.
Where can we go for more affordable therapy or counseling?
Or counseling,
Where hospitals...
So one of the things we're really clear about, and Minister Tufton is working hard to fix it, is increasing the number of therapists.
Is he?
Yes, I've seen. I saw a press release to that nature.
I was asking. I don't know.
So we do not have enough psychologists in Jamaica.
We don't.
We do not. So that's not even argue. We don't have enough psychologists in Jamaica. We don't have enough psychologists in the public health system. So when you go clinics, the vast majority of clinics don't have a psychologist. They have mental health workers, or there's a mental health team. There are different initiatives. I know there's like a mobile mental health clinic. I'm not quite sure of the information for that, but you can probably share that on your social media pages. So I know Ministry has a helpline you can call.
Right.
If you need help, because there are some things like the tips we were talking about, the meditating, exercising, journaling, talking to a friend will help. But when you are you recognize in someone that this is beyond just the Band-Aid or the self-care, and they need to see someone, you can go to your clinic, any clinic, and you can ask a doctor there, and they can make a referral.
Okay.
So there's child guidance clinics are in every parish has one, and this is where you'd have psychiatrists and you'd have a counselor in those clinics, and that would be for persons, for children and adolescents, so probably up to teenagers. So you'd be able to get that. If you go on the Jam Psych website, so jampsych.com.
Okay.
You get a listing of psychologists there, and there's a range.
Love that.
Yeah, so there's a range of prices. I can't tell you people's costs.
Yeah.
You know, they come in at different price points.
And I also know there is this page on Instagram named jamhan_JA. So that's JAMHAN_JA. The person that came on the podcast the first time, Alicia, she works with them.
Okay.
So it's a network of like professionals and volunteers working to help with mental health and the stigma and stuff like that. So, and they can also recommend you to professionals, right?
Yeah.
So love that. So we have clinics, we have, you said
the JamPsych website.
JamPsych website that gives you psychologists and all of that.
And they will be from all over the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, love that. So we do have things in place. We just have to just know how to.
And I think what keeps people from going to therapy, so there's a stigma, right, where you can't admit there's something wrong with me because
people are saying mad.
Shame that comes, and there's something almost irredeemable if you get the label on you. So it's hard to say.
Yes.
But then I think another thing, people just don't know where or how to find a psychologist.
How to access, right.
Yeah.
I think that is the problem.
So it's like,
that is the issue.
I have so many people who know me because of my other work, right?
Yeah.
The public health stuff, who come and they ask me, you know, we need a, and sometimes I am surprised that they don't know how to find a psychologist, but I think that's a big barrier. And then the other thing I think is a lot of people just don't think that whatever they're going through is big enough to go to therapy. And that's probably from that parent saying to you, oh, I'm to you.
Yes,
okay.
Because, yeah, man, believe me, our parents age in that.
Yeah, so they don't think their problem is worth
two more things I want to touch on.
A therapist.
Right?
Yeah.
Dr. Jarrett.
Oh, Lord.
Men and mental health.
Yeah.
I'm going to be frank. If you're a man and you admit or you've said to somebody that you're not well mentally, people, I think your friends, family members, society, whomever it is, they're going to say, toughen up yourself. A woman alone forgot therapy, or they associate it with your sexuality, or them say nothing wrong with you, go play some music, go play some football, or whatever the case is. And I think that is the reason also why a lot of men don't show emotions, because this is what we've been taught, right? And right now, I can't tell you, if you even call 10 of your friends as a man right now and say, brother, you know, say, I really feel off.
Yeah.
3/4 of the friend them are going to tell them, say, dog, what I'm telling you, man, go and go have sex. I can't curse because, you know, Dr. Jarrett is here. But go and go have sex. Or go and go play some ball, brother. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Go and go run. But at the end of the day, nobody really takes the time out to say, wait, what do you mean by you feel off? Like, is there something happening with you? Why do you think that, Jamaica especially, we're going to talk about, we don't pay attention to men and their mental health?
We don't. No.
Why?
I think you just explain. Yeah, you explain a lot of that is the value that as a man you have to be strong and showing emotions. That's not strength.
So how can we?
It's not strength.
How can we get rid of, eradicate that any at all? How?
It's going to be
by having more conversations.
Having more conversation. I think right now part of this panini is it's shining a light and showing us that
we're not okay.
We are not okay. Jamaica is not okay. Facts. Our men are not okay. Our mothers or parents or women, no one is okay.
Right.
We all have some issues. And I think we're also seeing what happens when we pretend we don't have those issues, and when we pretend no big something that we're seeing what happens. So I think we're now at the space where the conversation have to start. We have to start that conversation. Because covering it up is what's led us to this space.
And
right now.
also have friends that really just understands you. Because if you are calling your bridge and you're going to tell them, say,
and
you're not okay.
To your dog.
Exactly. Like, I think it is 60,000 reported suicides in Jamaica, yes?
No.
Per year?
This is,
where you go?
Reported is low, right? So I think it's, what is it? 2.1 per 100,000 person, which is around 60 suicides a year. But there's suicide attempts, there's suicidal thoughts, there's suicidal intentions.
And it's because people really don't know where to go to
they don't know where to go
who to talk to. People not taking them serious, stuff like that. I know I did say 2 more things, and I'm going to throw in something else. Do you think, or can you just say, because I've said this on the first episode, that this is my belief, that men who are most likely abusive, it's because they've suppressed all of what they are going through or have gone through mentally. So it's like they channel their anger out on people. Do you think that? Or is that a possibility? Yes?
You've studied
No, Mom, I need to
so here's
study psychology.
Right? So we all need to. Like psychology, I know when I decided to major in psychology, I definitely got, you sure? And I used to hear, I used to live in New York. I know a taxi driver who has a PhD in psychology. So I got it, but it's so fascinating because as a psychologist, it's not just about helping and understanding people, but it gives you so much insight and increases your own self-awareness. And there was something I was going to say about
the abusive men. Oh, trauma.
So one of the things that always gets me when I meet clients and adults, I don't work with kids, and it's just always surprising. You're talking to someone in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and I'm talking dozens of people over the years, and they reveal something to me, and it's the first time they've ever shared that.
Shared that experience.
And it's, for me, it's always like, it hurts me because I'm like, how have you carried that your entire life? And this is what stigma does in a society, right? And this is what lack of access does. You have some people, there is some serious hurt, some serious trauma that they've carried their entire life. It prevents them from connecting with themselves and really loving themselves. It prevents them from ever feeling good enough for other people, good enough for relationships. Or loving someone else as well. It prevents them from fully loving other people. I'm going to start back therapy. It prevents... Dr. Jarrett, I'm going to start calling back to because we feel like I'm No, so that's it. It's not just you.
It's a lot of people.
This is the thing in Jamaica. It's like the trauma is pervasive. You see, the past few weeks we hear all these like horror stories on news. I know 1 story or 2 story. It is so common, but we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. So there's when you say you tell your Bridget and 75% of them say
I think Bridget have the dog. We are talking about brother.
50% of them have been through worse.
Factual.
No one can talk about it. And we all sort of like in our little bubbles.
And that is the reason I have this platform and you here.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, the last thing, you do work with the HIV.
The HIV. So where the answer for when you say it?
Because I want to forget the right terminology or the right word in there. I understand some of the what,
No, for years. For about 10 years. 10 years or probably more. I don't remember. I'd worked with the Ministry of Health HIV program.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So I still work as a partner. I'm with a university now providing technical assistance to the HIV program.
So my last episode with Miss Joan Stevens, I know you watched it.
Oh God,
I love Joan. Joan, big up yourself.
That's her energy, any space you meet her in. That's so consistent and good.
It's funny. I've gotten so many DMs from people, using fake pages, obviously, which I do respect that. That have reached out to me saying that, they appreciated the episode and they are also HIV positive, men and women, young and old, enough over 10. And they've 2 out of the 10, I can remember saying to me that before seeing the episode, clearly they wanted to commit suicide and all of that. For persons who are living with or trying to live with, what would be your advice to them? Because, so first, you just find out. What am I supposed to do?
So you just find out. So in the process, hopefully there is someone, however you were diagnosed, whether it's a private doctor or we do lots of outreach events and so on. So there should, whoever counseled you and gave you those results should link you, connect you to a team,
Okay.
whether it's to a private doctor or connected to a place like Jazzle, Chairs, or any one of the HIV treatment facilities.
Yes.
And once they make that connection, you have access to a psychologist.
Okay.
You have access to a
For free?
case. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So these programs employ psychology because therapy is such an important part of helping you to understand your diagnosis. A lot of the fear that comes when you get diagnosed with HIV and that panic is really not understanding, because think of the common portrayal. People are surprised to see Joan, right? Like she laugh and she happy and she like okay with her life. Yeah. Because that's not, you don't see that image. You really, you know, for the most part, people still have those early images of people who get diagnosed and then just wait for dead.
Yeah.
And it's not true. I know so many people who've been living 20, 30, 15, 10 years. And so it's sort of like, remember and just know that you can live, you can live a normal life, a full life. Like your life expectancy doesn't have to change, right? So it's not that you're dead, which is, I think, that fear, or people are gonna find out because the maga down and the sore, and you know, I heard Joan saying her husband kind of just gave up and fret and just died, and she didn't want to see him like that. And so I think is to know when you get that diagnosis, you're not getting a death sentence. Like things have changed so much, and there's so much hope. Amazing treatment, and the sites and the facilities here have a good network of people to support you.
Okay, love that. But just quickly also, I've seen or I've heard many of these organizations that's supposed to confidentiality and all of them look at something there. The people them feel like when them go and them get them positive results, you know, the persons who are working in the healthcare facilities, they're not really professionals, especially if they're known people, or them call them friend and say, boy, you know, say Karim, just come get him test, and Karim test was positive. What can we do with or to healthcare officials? How we can get rid of all of that? I just feel like people are just working and they're not really in love with their jobs, and I feel like people are just working just to get a paycheck, because there's no way. I am here and I have a positive test result. It's not your place to tell the world. And I think that is the reason to a lot of people don't go out and get tested.
So I'm struggling right here. I'm having a moment because I don't want to say no, because that's someone's experience.
Right.
But by and large, that's a rare occurrence. So that's the struggle I'm having. I don't want to say no, not gossip, because that's someone's experience. Because I mean, like I said, I started working at one of the clinics Joan mentioned. I used to work at Compre. 15 years or so, from that long. So that's how long I've been in the system in some way. And it's a rare, I know when people come though, they say, boy, I don't like how them treat them. Because we're rough. Minister's working on that. They're going to be less rough.
Is he?
But yeah, man, there's a lot of work going on in terms, because even some of them work. I feel like you will have a different conversation.
Dr. Jarrett,
so that is someone's experience. But I can say, by and large, when you go to the facilities now, is a caring set of people. Confidentiality is really and truly, you might go and somebody spot you and go talk, because that's anything. But how do they know? What are they? What are they doing? But for healthcare workers in HIV, we really don't have this immense problem of like breaches. It's a fear though when you walk in. You know,
you gotta start looking to log on if somebody else.
But truly, and I say it all the time, even with disclosure, like it's the fear that gets us, kind of know. Like it's the fear. I can't tell nobody, so I have this. But the people I know, once they really think it through and you disclose, the response is
it's the same thing Ms. Jones
supportive.
Said. Love that.
So it's a fear.
All right. So any last words as it relates to mental health in our Jamaican culture? Like where would you want to see us as a nation? We need to have more conversations like these, obviously. We need to let it be more normal. And I think if more people would just admit that they're not okay, I think that everybody else would kind of be like, wait, you have anxiety too? Oh, okay. You understand? Or normalize going to therapy.
Yeah.
You know, in case anybody wants to get in contact with you, how can they do so?
I can give. I don't have a social media.
Okay,
I'm on Twitter, Char something.
Your office, website, or book you for therapy and them something there.
You know, I refer folks to other people. So they can reach out to you and you connect them to me.
Yes. Love that.
Reach out to you and you connect
But I
them
thank you so much, Dr. Jarrett, for the conversation.
Yeah, and I love that you're talking about it. I see the impact and the influence you have. You know, the thing I would say is the idea of normalizing it. I think we sometimes think of just we. Like just me and your friends are all not admitting to it, but if you're in a room and it's 5 of you and a you one, maybe a you one this month, because your data is like 20% of people in the last month would have had anxiety or depression. Everyone, they've all been through it. You know, by the end of the year, more than half of you would have had a serious bout of depression or anxiety. So you're not alone.
Yeah.
And it's to remember that too, when you mess up, when things don't go right and you start cuss yourself, learn how to be that kind, friendly voice to yourself. So the same way you give a listening ear to the friend who call you every day, even when, you know, you have to learn how to do that for yourself. So there's a thing called self-compassion. The things the parents might not have said to you, the things your friends might have a hard time saying it because everyone is so self-protective. I think that's the biggest message I would say is you have to give yourself some grace. Right? Like no one's perfect. We all have issues in this room. I know I'm not the only one with a therapist. You're not the only one with a therapist.
All of us. All of us.
Or want a therapist. So you have to give yourself some grace, right?
Okay, love that. You know, thank you once again for coming. And guys,
thank you.
You know, the purpose of this episode is just to try and eradicate some of the stigmas, you know, attached or associated with mental health and therapy and stuff like that. It's okay not to be okay. You know, find what works for you. You know, and as Dr. Jarrett says, there are many different organizations that you can reach out to and see within your price range, which one is best for you to get a therapist, a counselor, anybody that you can speak to, you know, but find your coping mechanism, healthy coping mechanism, please, and just work through it. We're all going through it, and that is what I've really just wanted to put out there. That not because somebody rich and all these things that it means them not go through it. Everybody is going through it mentally, and let us just also be kinder to each other and to ourselves, you know, like let us just stop being so mean-spirited to people because you might not know what somebody else is going through, and that can just be a trigger to them, right? So until next time, we're almost at the end of the season. You know, thank you to the BAMcast. Once again, thank you to Davian for being here. Thank you to Cattleya Perfect 10 Med Spa, Drive Unique Cars, and the Epic Weekend. Dr. Jarrett, I do thank you once again. And I'll see you guys next Sunday. Once again, happy Father's Day to all the fathers. You understand? Bless up on yourself. You understand,